I wrote a new short story titled The Magician. Hope you enjoy. A well-known magician gets asked to perform an illusion by a stranger that sees this magician in a bar. The magician produces a $100 bill, rolls it up in hand, and says if the stranger can guess which hand the bill is in 4 times in a row, the magician will give the money to the stranger. The magician explains that the stranger can have as many guesses until reaching the last guess, whereupon one chance will be given, if the stranger doesn't give up prior to this 4th guess. This magician shows the bill and closes up the money in the right hand and asks the stranger to guess. The stranger excitedly guesses the left hand while the magician opens the right hand to show the bill never moved. The stranger seems egged on. The magician begins explaining to the stranger about an experiment while they continue playing the game where a scientist put mice in a maze with cheese and maze constraints versus electric shocks and maze constraints, and how the mice reacted towards these different phenomena in the traps. The magician explains that these mice brains waves were monitored and the pleasure versus survival centers of the brain were being stimulated by simulacrum of the maze constraints. The magician uses sleight of hand in an attempt to confuse the stranger, but the bill always remains in this magician's right hand when it's time for the stranger to pick. Eventually, the stranger chooses the magician's right hand 3 times in a row. For the 4th and final choice, the magician hides both hands behind the back, appearing to place the bill inside the back pocket, presents closed hands to the stranger, and asks the stranger to guess which hand. The stranger looks at the right hand, then hoping to peer through flesh and clothes, squints at where the magician's back pocket would be, guesses neither, and says it's in the magician's back pocket. The magician opens the right hand to show the bill. The magician smiles while placing the bill back into the wallet and says that the mice that were given cheese at the end of the maze eventually were given a maze without cheese in it, and they would have aimlessly ran around looking for cheese until they starved to death. So the scientists euthanized these mice because they were unable to give any useful observations due to their condition, while the mice that were given the maze with electric shocks ended up in the scientists' next experiments. The stranger angrily exclaims that the magician tricked the stranger. The magician takes a sip of whiskey and bows. Thanks.